I went from 20 minutes to an hour. And it's not about the time. You got to research this thing. It's called qualitative time, right? And it's almost, yeah, it feels like some magic when you research this stuff. But yeah, 10 minutes can mean more to you than 2 hours. And so if you are finding this, if you're lingering in this emotional energy of having, your dreams have already came true, 10 minutes is all you need if it hits harder. Now, I do longer because, I've been doing this stuff for a long time. So I can't just tap into it, right? You can't just force it. It kind of has to find you, right? I do longer, 100%. But if it hits me in 10 minutes and I get filled with a new state, which just means new energy, wheels start turning. Yeah, I'll take 5 minutes with that. Let's say it hits me in 5 minutes. Another 5 minutes, linger in it and go straight home and cut it short. And really, really get creative with my projects, right? And yeah, I use the next few hours to record content. That content usually hits the hardest. I know I talk about sometimes like born year of the dog. There's dog time, right? For 7 p.m. to 9. But once you shift states, everything changes, dude. So if it's 3 p.m. and you feel that energy, start recording right then and there, and don't waste it. And you're gonna notice the more often you do this, the longer you stay in that state, kind of like a Super Saiyan state. And then you're going to compare that to let's say you're a YouTuber, you compare that content to your previous content, and then you do your revisionist work. So I've always done this. I've always made less money doing this, but eventually it all works out for the better. And I get a lot of my guys to do this reflective revisionist work where, let's say I have 100 YouTube videos, right? And I'll make less money if I cut them out. Let's say 70% of that I delete, right? I just make them private so no one can see it. I've always done this. Even though it makes less money, I've always done this. So that way the 30% that's left on my channel is just when it's perfect YouTube content. I sound perfect, everything's charismatic, everything's hitting like gold, it's just perfect. That way when I open my YouTube channel every day, I am in the state of I'm a perfect YouTuber. Right? That all my content is perfect, right? So I'll do 100 videos, and then maybe let's say a year later, or for you guys, a few months later, I will do revisionist work where I cut out the fat. Do you get what I mean? At first, I'm not a perfectionist, and then when I have this content out there, that's when I do the revisionist work and I cut it out. I cut it down, 70%, and that way I linger in the state of 100% of the time I knock it out of the park. Even though it makes me less money on YouTube. However, when I watch my content and I study only my wins, remember what I taught you guys, we only study the wins, or watch them or be entertained by them, all that. Then when I go to film a video, I knock it out of the park every time. And the first year I did this, really worked, and I didn't have to do any revisioning of my content for a long time, right? And this is the biggest thing. This is huge, where yes, you'll make like a couple, let's say it's 5,000-10,000 less because you cut out a bunch of content, you get paid for less of it. You start producing banger content with your new state of mind that actually makes you way more money when you look at the long term, right? And it also builds your confidence, because then you can go on podcasts and you're like this perfect speaker, let's say. But you were never a perfect speaker. You just cut out 70% of the content you didn't speak perfect on. And that's how you can change your past, where if you didn't affect the timeline of your, let's say your history, it doesn't matter because you affected the new state. You're in a new state. So I've even had guys tell me it works for a girl that dumped them, and they revise their past and they go through it where they don't give a fuck that they got dumped, when in reality they got heartbroken. And although they didn't change the past, the timeline, because they focused on this revision work, right? And they stole this all from me, is that back then I used to give this stuff for free. They'd bump into this girl that dumped them at like some party or whatever, and she would sense that the guy is in a state of mind where the timeline shifted. She would sense that, oh, I remember dumping this guy. I remember him being shattered. Why is he not shattered? Why is he in a new state of mind? Why is he so attractive? And it's because he changed his past. You can't change the timeline of your past for everyone around you, but you can change it for yourself, so that past energy where you failed launches up and charges your new state where you're in a winning state, even in your past. Let's say you revise your whole past. And a lot of people would be like, whoa, that's a little psychopathic. Like, who does that? All winners do that. They don't know how to formulate the words, but they all do that. That's why when you run into these guys after many years at a party, it doesn't matter if you were better than them years ago. The only thing that matters is that they're better than you now, because they've changed their state, right? And really what I'm saying is your state's not going to shift if your past keeps creeping up on you, right? Because that's your negative anchor. You have a positive anchor that'll linger you into a feeling, right? Maybe like a song or whatever. And then you have a negative anchor that'll keep you in, oh, I'm still a loser. This happened to me in my past and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, you can change your own timeline just for yourself, just enough to change your state, so that when you run into these people that let's say they've gotten the better of you in the past, their thinking towards you changes, whether it's your boss who fired you or whatever. Their thinking immediately changes, where they think they're the losers and you're the winner. And the only thing that happened is you resolved your past, which is all collected in this unconscious, right? And yeah, you can do this with a bunch of things. I get my guys to do, well, I'm not going to leak right now. There's a really good way to do this, but revisioning your past it's like 80-90% of your the law of attraction that no one ever talks about. And people are stupid because they don't realize how easy it is to linger in a state, how to float into a winning state if your past isn't holding you back. More at thezherkaofficial.com, guys.